was checking your oil correctly. Start off with more. Should have on your mower a filler for your gas. Generally has a symbol on it of a gas pump. And you also have an oil filler, which has a little symbol of like a ancient oil lamp sort of looking thing, and it says oil. Let me grab a rag real quick, sorry. Okay, generally, like your car, you just pull out your dipstick and wipe it off, and then put it back in. Most mowers, you just screw it in gently, take it out, and read. I don't know if we can get it up closer and see what's on the stick. Probably not. This one happens to be about almost right on the mark. It'll also say on there, do not fill above the mark. There's a reason for that. Everybody thinks, oh, put a little extra in there and keep everything nice and lubricated. The reason you don't want to do that is because the engine, the cylinder, and if the oil level is too high, then it tends to seep through the rings and get on the wrong side of the piston. All right? And when you do that, if it sits long enough, you get a lot of oil in there, and it'll cause what they call hydro lock, which means when you try to pull a rope, it only goes so far, and then you're trying to compress that oil that's in there, and it won't go any further. I had one about a year ago, lady called me up and said, we can't start our lawnmower, we can't even pull the rope. Well, I went over and looked at it, checked the oil level. It's about 4 inches up on here. It's like that full. What happened was her son had been helpful and tried to fill the gas tank, but he filled the oil instead, and so with gasoline. So he not only thinned out the oil, but it was so full that it got on the other side of the piston, so hydro lock. And so the only way to fix that is to unscrew the spark plug and crank it until you pull all that out of there. And then when you start it up, it smokes like a diesel. But anyway, you can fix it if that happens. When you look at your oil, if it's, a lot of them that I see are totally black. The oil has been in there probably since the lawnmower was new, and it just got added when it was low instead of changing it. So I'll show you how to change it fairly easily. won't actually change this one because it's good, but I'll show you how to do it. The secret is to put your lawnmower up on its side. Whenever you work on your lawnmower and you want to get under it or whatever, put it up on its side instead of crawling underneath it or something. So what I do is I just put it up like this. Well, this actually had my wife help me because I have this off. The filler cap is off, and so we just start tipping it over, and eventually the oil will run out if you get far enough over. What I use is I don't know what you call it, a lasagna pan, because it's shallow and you can usually just set it there and hit it. And it helps if you change it when it's hot, so you get all the oils stirred up and all the junk that's in there drains out with it when the oil comes out. In our climate, we only use them in the summer when it's warm, so just ordinary 10, 30 oil is good enough. I don't use any of the synthetic or anything like that. I just use regular 10, 30 motor oil. Okay. Any questions? Years ago, they used to have it.
I got a question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Is it better to change it when you're starting out the year or at the end of the year? Does it really matter?
I don't think it matters, but usually things I've read say change it in the fall, and then sit all winter, but I really don't know that it makes any difference. Just as long as you change it once in a while. If you've ever seen that old oil commercial where the fellow has his car jacked up and he unscrews the plug and nothing comes out, you remember those? I've had some like that where it's, you almost have to scoop it out with a spoon. Trouble is, the whole spoon, you can't get a spoon in there. But some oil gets really, really nasty. I don't use any additives or, well, in my oil, I don't use any additives. But find something that you can put it in so you can recycle it, like AutoZone or O'Reilly or somewhere. They have tanks there you can just walk in and dump your oil in there. Okay, any other questions? All right, next one is your air cleaner, your air filter. Now this mower, I don't know if you can see that filter on the side there, right here. You just twist that a little bit and it comes right off. filters inside. Now there's probably 1,000 different filters, and so you have to be sure what yours is. This one, I call this one an oval filter. Here's a little round one. I don't know if you can see that. A round one. Here's a little one. Now here, this is what a new one looks like right in the package. Okay. And this one that was used a while, I don't know if you can, sun maybe to show up a little better. Get it out of the bag here. It looks dirty, but it's serviceable for maybe a season. See that? It's not stirring white like this one, but it still works. Now, if you want to reuse it, if you clean it, all you have to do is knock it up against something like the ground, concrete, something. You can knock a lot of the dirt out of it that way, or you can blow it out with air compressor on the backside. I had a lady call me. She's in our stake. She said, I understand you work on hard. And I said, okay, well, let me come over and look at it. So I went over there. First thing I checked was the air filter. And I'll show you that. I don't know if you can see this very well. I can probably zoom in a little bit. That thing is practically solid. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah.
Get it out here maybe a little bit. And I said, oh, how often do you change your air filter? And she said, what's an air filter? So I showed her this one, which was out of hers. And I said, so you didn't ever change it or have it serviced? She said, no. I said, how long have you had your mower? 11 years. So I gave her a new one. And we got it running. This is probably the worst example of an air filter I've ever seen. Obviously not reusable. So if you just open yours up, grab one off of this one. Year old just blow them out or loose stuff out of it. Anyway, it's they're fairly inexpensive, $6-7 every other year, a couple of years. Okay. Questions on that? We got it.
I have a question, Brother Mickelson. Where do you usually buy your air filters?
Well, since I use a whole lot of them, I get them off of eBay, probably about 5 at a time, from China, and get them in a couple of weeks. But I use them fairly regularly.
Does another question, does the brand or the quality make a big difference?
I never really worried about it. I just slap them in there. On eBay, they're probably $5 each, maybe, for 5 of them. Okay. Is that it? Go on to blades. Oh, when you do turn your mower up, always, if you're going to lay it on its side, which I'll show you in a minute, always put the carburetor up. If you put the carburetor down, oil runs out of your crankcase and fills up your air filter, and then starts running out the carburetor and all over your lawn or patio or wherever you're doing it. So always flip it up with the carburetor up. And it helps if you don't have a full tank of gas. If you do, then take a Ziploc baggie or something, stick it on there and screw the lid on, because the caps are generally vented when they leak. Makes your grass die too. All right, so this one, the carburetor is on this side, so we'll have to flip it up the other way. All right, so on this one, okay, this is a fairly typical blade setup. I'll go down maybe just a little. Can you see the blade?
Yes, we can.
Okay. This is a fairly standard setup here. There's all sorts of ways they mount them, clamp them in there. They have various and sundry little things. But left my wrench. I should. Okay. Typically, a mower will have a center bolt like that, and it's going to be either a 9/16 or a 5/8, unless it's a Honda. Honda's metric, and it's a 14 millimeter. Let me go get my wrench. Sorry, put everything away to clean up the face here. I happen to have a longer breaker bar than some. You can use a crescent wrench if you're careful. But generally they're on there pretty good. That one looks like a 9/16. Try that first. Nope. 5/8. So easiest way, you don't have to hold it with your hand or put your foot in there or anything really weird. Just find you a 2x4. This happens to be an old 4x4. But
Did it freeze on anyone else?
Yeah, it froze on me.
Okay, let me let Brother Smith know. While we're waiting, I'm curious. Oh, looks like we're back up. We can see you now again.
Can you hear us?
Yep, we can hear you.
yeah, we're looking at Go Cougs.
We're looking at
Okay, here we are.
shelves.
Okay, here's the blade, here's the holder. This one is a little hard to screw up when you're gonna put it back on, because it has to fit in the holder, shape of the holder, and it only has one bolt. I always put a little oil on the threads, and the easiest way to get that is with your dipstick. But if you got it, to get it anyway. So then you sharpen it, and when you stick it back on, you want to have the sharp edge towards the grass. I've had mowers come in. The owner will say, I sharpened the blade, I put it on, and it doesn't cut. All it does is shred the grass. Well, it's because they put it on upside down. So you try to cut with the back, which is basically square. There's no sharp edge there. So always make sure that your sharp edge is for the grass. Some of them say grass side or down or bottom or something. Not all of them will, but some of them will. So that's the easiest way to get it off.
So I've got a question. Do
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
Do you sharpen it with a file?
Yeah, if you've got a half hour to play with it.
Okay. You You've got a machine, or how do you do it?
Well, I used to sharpen them on my grinder, on my bench grinder, but I couldn't get the angle very accurate most of the time. And so I purchased a rather expensive sharpening apparatus. But if you can find the factory angle, if it's still on there, if you can see the factory angle, you can follow that with your file, but follow it as closely as you can. I have a little homemade visual aid here.
What do you charge to sharpen them, Bill?
Depends on who it is.
That's my question too.
I'd rather pay an expert to do it than try to do it myself. Did we lose them?
Yeah.
There he is.
I don't know if we can hear you. See my visual aid?
It's backwards.
It looked good.
Yeah, we can see it.
I like that, but I'd still pay you to do it, Bill.
Yeah. So let's look at that for a second. So don't sharpen it on the underside, you're saying.
Now, the one at the how's that? Is that good?
Yeah. Did it freeze up?
Yeah, it looks like it.
They need utopia over there.
Yes, they do. Well, I'm going to say, anyone on the phone, I'm curious. Oh, we're back again. Every time I say that, they come back. I need to say that every time.
Mhm.
We got you. We can see and hear you.
Okay. Get something to back this up. It keeps.
Could you share that picture I just sent you, Benji? Do a screen share?
Yep.
Okay. The first where the red is, you don't want to sharpen that way, because although you'll end up with a sharp point, everything under the point is just going to whip your grass and shred the end of it. Okay, it won't shear it off cleanly. Now the one in the middle, sure.
You didn't? Nope, he's sharing it. Benji is. Picture text to them.
Yeah, but it's 90 degrees off.
You can go ahead and talk. Actually, we can, when you're holding it up, yeah, we can see it just fine. So that's good.
Yeah.
Find the camera. Okay, the one in the middle is a sharp blade. Generally, they recommend about a 30-degree angle for normal lawn, normal work, whatever. A lot of them now have an extra angle to start with. See the little part. You have one that's never been sharpened, and you've got to end up with a rounded blade rounded edge. And so when you don't regularly sharpen it and keep that angle good, and okay, now you want to fix it. So look how much you have to grind off in order to get a sharp point again. I'll show you one here. Now here's a fairly standard blade. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. And it's fairly flat. Okay, the blade is, all right. Now there's probably 50 or more shapes of blades that have been invented. Everybody has their own design for how they want the mower to cut. So this is a fairly standard blade on your average Walmart lawnmower. Just a flat blade like that. Hardly any upturn on it at all. Then this one weighs about 3 times as much as the other one. This is off a snapper. You can see this right here, the upturn on, I don't know if I can get it where you can, trying to show it against the background there. I don't know.
That's great. Yeah, we can see it.
See how it is? And that,
What's the magic words?
Yeah, that's right. I just need to say it again. I was going to say that I'm curious to know from everyone out there if there's anything that you are secretly pleased that you don't have to do now that you're social distancing.
Mhm.
So does Brother Mickelson repair lawnmowers? Does he do this? Do you know?
I believe he does just because he knows what he's doing. I don't know if he has done it for work or if it's just that he knows how to do it.
So it's like a side business or something?
Yeah,
Well, I imagine he may have done that in his job when he was taking care of church properties, I believe.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
yeah. Yeah, and then now he just does it as kind of a service for people who need help.
I don't know if I want to try and actually sharpen my blade.
I'm not going to. I want it to cut the grass right.
That's right.
No. I don't know if he may do this for, some payment too. It just depends on what he's looking at, I think. But maybe it is just a service. I guess that's a good question to ask him.
Yeah, because it looks like he's got several lawnmowers in the backyard there.
He actually might charge you if you do want your lawnmower sharpened. He's gonna charge a little bit for his time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't mind that. I just getting somebody you know who can do it and trust. That's what's important.
Yeah, no, he does a good job. I've had him fix my stuff in the past, but then he showed me kind of how to do it. So now he lost his business that way.
Putting
Well,
himself
there's
out
plenty
of
of
business.
us that will make up for that loss.
that's all right. I'll charge the next guy double.
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. So I've got a couple of questions with that. In case I do make the attempt, I've been avoiding trying to do this myself, but how do you know when it's sharp enough?
When your finger bleeds.
Okay.
Scoot back just a little, I get some sun. Okay. All right, see this blade right here? See this edge? How it's all chewed up. If I rotate it, you can see how rounded it is. Maybe you can, maybe you can't.
Mhm.
But in order to sharpen this blade, you have to grind so much off that you lose some of the longevity of the blade. Does that make sense? In other words, in order to get this bad edge back to a good sharp edge, you got to grind and grind and grind. Like on this, like on my at the bottom there. See the one at the bottom? All that red has to come off before you get all the way to a sharp edge. That makes sense?
Yeah, so what point does it make sense to just get a new blade?
Well, depends on how much money you have. I just keep sharpening it, but I have some. Now, this one here is an example. This is a very used blade. And so on the other end, I sharpened it. I don't know if you can see, I'm trying to figure out what
We can see it.
it's got. Okay, this edge now is like a razor. And that took me with my machine about 10 passes in order to get rid of all that radius
Why don't you mute yourself when you're not talking?
on there. What I try not to charge a lot of people. This is more of a hobby, but if you want to pull your blade off and clean it good so it looks clean like this and not clumps of grass all over it, both sides, up and down, it's like $5. If I have to clean it, then I generally charge $10. That's what the shops around here charge. Now here's another one. This is a mulching blade. I don't know if you can see. It has a lower. I'm all backwards looking in the picture and holding the blade.
Yeah, we can see it just fine. Lift it up just a little bit.
A little bit. How's that?
Yeah, we can see
It has an upper surface here, and it has a lower surface down here. Those are two different angles. It's a little harder to sharpen, but you could hardly ever sharpen that with a file yourself.
Do you have to have a special type of lawnmower for that type of blade, or can that type of blade go on any mower?
No, as long as you can fit it on there. Now this is a fairly universal blade. I don't know if you can see the holes. Okay, it has slots instead of a single hole, and it has a large hole here. You can find a washer that'll fill the hole with the hole in the washer that fits your bolt. So it's a fairly universal blade.
So Bill, what do you charge if I just bring you my lawnmower and say, hey, make this work really well?
With what? What's that? I'm sorry, I missed the rest of the.
I just said, what do you charge if I just bring you my lawnmower and say, make this work well?
Oh, fix it. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't really have a set rate. I've had some people just drop in out of the blue. I don't know who they are, and they heard that I work on lawnmowers, and I don't really want to do it, so I give them a number, and they still want me to do it, so I make a few extra bucks. But generally, like, oh, I I don't know. Every one of them's different. For me, it's lunch money. I'm not making a living at it. I average about 38 cents an hour, I think, most of the time. But I don't know. Some of them I have to change the air filter, change the oil, sharpen the blade, clean it all off first because you can't figure out what color it is. Stuff like that. So it all depends on what's wrong with it.
Okay. Well, I'll just know that if I could talk to you, I might be able to approach you if I needed you to.
Oh yeah, what do you have? What kind of a mower is it?
Okay, so now I'm going to reveal my ignorance about anything that has to do with internal combustion.
Does it have a name on it?
Yeah, but I don't know what it is. I can't remember.
Well, let me ask you this: what color is it?
Oh, it's red on top.
Okay, red is generally a Toro or a Craftsman, but
Oh, I think it's a Craftsman.
Craftsman they make black one. Mine right over there is a black one. Neighbor has a green one. Whatever.
Well, that's okay. I don't want to interrupt the demonstration, so I'll just keep you in mind.
Okay, we need to keep moving here. Oh, let me show you. This is.
I do have one more question if I can jump in.
I don't know if you can see this, but this is what happens to your grass if you don't have a sharp blade. It just shreds it. And the other problem with the shredding part is it has all these little tassels on the top, and it makes your lawn have sort of a brown cast to it. Plus, it dries out faster because all those little ends are bleeding water. Does that make sense? So you want to have a sharp blade that shears the grass instead of just whips the heck out of it. All right, we need to move along here.
Hey, I know that Thomas Packer had a question, so let's go to the question real quick.
Yes, quick question.
Yeah.
So for someone with a small lawn, how often would you need to sharpen the blade?
Probably every other year.
Okay.
Just need to stay out of the rocks. That's all. If you have rocks and stuff around your neighborhood or in your lawn, I mean. But if it's just grass, it'll stay sharp for a long time, really.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I sharpen mine every spring. So I always have that angle is always good on there, and so I can sharpen them in like 5 minutes. I mean, it's real easy if you do it often.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. I didn't bring my tape measure, but if you want to measure your blade, your lawnmower is probably a 21 inch, 22 inches. Measure from the sharp point on each end, diagonally across the blade. Don't measure it just end to end. Measure it across the sharp tip. There to, down to here. Okay, cutting height. I raise my mower up in the summertime because it helps it to not dry out as fast. And then in the fall on my last cut, I drop it maybe an inch. And the reasoning there is that it keeps you from laying over in the snow. But that's what I do. Keep your mower clean. I've had some that I can't figure out why they didn't blow up. The fins are just covered with dirt and crud, and just squirt everything off with a hose every fall when you put it away. Just clean the fins, because these engines are air cooled, and so you want the air to get to the metal fins. If they're all covered with leaves and grass and dirt and oil, where you put your oil in, you spill it all over. Clean all that up. Keep the whole engine clean. And your bag, something hardly anybody ever thinks of is your bag. Wash your bag. Take your hose, maybe in the spring before you're going to start mowing, and give it a really good pressure wash, because it's supposed to breathe. It's supposed to have holes, so when the clippings go in there, there's not any pressure trying to hold them out, and it'll just work a lot better. Almost every lawnmower, the blade rotates as you're looking at it from the top. It rotates in a clockwise direction. Okay, and if you look at your mowing deck, it has like a cyclone shape, or anyway, like a wind tunnel sort of a thing there. That helps it move around. And so when it gets to the bag, it wants to blow against the left side of the bag. And if you look at your bag carefully, you'll find that your left side of your bag is practically caked shut. And so it just keeps building up, and it doesn't breathe very well. So every fall, I pull mine off of the metal hoop, turn it inside out, and just kind of scrape it a little bit to get all that extra mud and junk off of there. You'll see it when you look in there. Okay, now you're gonna store it. Summer's over. Your kids are off to school, and you got to mow it yourself. But you're all finished mowing, so you're gonna put it in the shed, hopefully in a dry place. Don't try not to leave it outside. That's just sheer death. If you have to leave it out, cover it with something, tarp, or minimum of Walmart plastic bag over it, something to keep the water out of it. And check your oil. Run you generally on the uh, less expensive mowers, they don't have a shutoff valve on the fuel line. And so the easiest way is to flip it over like I showed you on the oil change. Dump the gas out, put it in your car, something, and then flip it over again and run the engine until it quits running so that the carburetor doesn't have any gas in it to sit all winter long. Most people use what I call car gas in their mowers. And that's probably the worst thing you can run in there, because around here they use ethanol in the gas. Ethanol, when it sits, absorbs water. And then the water is heavier than the oil, than the gas. So the gas is sitting on a layer of water over the winter. And then eventually the gas evaporates, leaving the water in there in the bottom of the carburetor, and up the center of the carburetor is where it sucks up the gas when it's running. But if it's got water in the bottom of the bowl, that water just sits in there and it just messes up all those little orifices in that tube up the center. I mean, they are the size almost of a human hair. The only way you can open them up is with a little wire out of a wire brush, or the wire inside of one of those twist ties you get on your bread. You can use that to ream out the little holes. But there's probably 10 little holes in there that size, up to the center of the carburetor. And so when those get plugged up, it won't run. Plus, it sucks the water up first. If you leave gas in your gas tank, it'll also have water in it. Water will go to the bottom, and when you try to start it, it's sucking the water instead of gasoline, and obviously it won't run on the water. So dry it out, run it dry. Now the other thing is buy non-ethanol gasoline. That'll help a lot. I get a lot of mowers that they'll only run on starting fluid for about 30 seconds and then they die. Oh, my mower won't run. I squirt this stuff in there and it only runs for 30 seconds, but it just won't keep going. It's because all those little holes are all plugged up and it won't draw the gas up through the middle of the carburetor. That makes sense?
Yep.
Anyway, that's sort of it in a nutshell. I could go on forever, but somebody's got one of those hook things. They're trying to grab me by the neck here. But you have any questions about anything?
No, this has really been great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
This is very helpful. I have one quick question. It's not necessarily on the mower. It's more so on lawn. And I'm curious how much you should be watering your lawn, and then when you should be adjusting how much you're watering your lawn, roughly around what time of year or what temperatures.
Well, I listen to the weather guys a lot on TV. They'll say, don't start your sprinklers till like May 1st, or we've had plenty of water so far. wait another couple weeks or whatever. But I fired up my sprinklers a week ago and fertilized, and my lawn is just now looking like a lawn again. It was looking a little bit dry there for a while. We've actually had the driest April here that's ever been recorded. So
It's because the rain's quarantined.
yeah, yeah, the rain went somewhere else. But
I actually have a comment on that because I asked a landscaper about it several years ago.
oh,
Because we ripped out a lot of our lawn and put in new lawn, and as we were talking about it, a lot of it also has to do with the type of soil,
yeah,
and it depends on what your landscaper did when he put your lawn in. Like, for example, the guy that I was talking with, we didn't have him do this to our lawn, but he did it to the Coxes, where he removed 18 inches of their
wow,
of dirt,
yeah,
and he brought in brand new 18 inches of just like pure soil.
really good dirt.
Yeah, really good dirt. And so
Yeah.
that way they don't have to water as much, as opposed to someone like me, where I more have the orange potatoes and, you know, lots of rocks in my yard where you have to maybe water a little bit more. So it kind of depends on what's underneath your grass too.
Yeah. Well, they say that the more you water it, the shallower the roots are.
Mhm.
And so if you want the roots to really get down in, don't water it as much or as often.
What you
I've
do is you
heard,
water it for a longer period, less frequent.
yeah, yeah, I've heard you water it deeply less often.
Yeah. I water Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And most of my zones are like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I have a flower bed and I only water for like 15 minutes, but everything here dries out so fast. So leave your grass long and use a sharp blade. That'll help the most. But if you want to bring me a blade, I will fix it for you and show you how to work with it. One other thing, don't use last year's gasoline. Okay. Can you see this? Is that very clear to you? Does it look clear?
You're talking about the stuff at the bottom.
You see anything in the bottom down here?
Yep.
I sucked this out of a lawnmower with a turkey baster, not the one my wife used. I have my own. I wouldn't live long if I did that. But there's also water in there. If you empty your tank into something, chances are you'll find water in the bottom of it as well. This one, there was water in it, but maybe it's the other one. Now this one I had clear gas in it to begin with, and I drained some fuel out of a unit that was brought to me by somebody who will go unnamed, but he's sitting here with me. And just what I drained out of his generator colored the whole thing like this. And to begin with, it was about half full, and it was clear like water. It wasn't water, but it was clean gas in here to begin with. So don't save a nickel on your fuel.
Good to know.
What's that?
That is good to know, because I have some out there now that I probably shouldn't use.
What you got it last year, fill up your car and then dump it in with a full tank of gas. You'll never notice a difference. But I use
So-
I use a 2-gallon can of non-ethanol gas, and that lasts me almost the whole summer.
Do you find that fuel stabilizer works at all for
Oh, yes,
this kind of issue?
yes. But I don't use the one everybody else uses. I don't use Stabil. I found this product several years ago. If you can see that. I can get it right in the camera. I got to stand over here and hold it up. It's PRI-G. You can find it at Walmart. And this here I use, I don't know if you can read that, 2 milliliters of this per gallon of gasoline. And I've got gas that's probably a year and a half old, and it's still perfectly good. This is the best stuff I've ever found. I used Stabil for years, and this is expensive. It's more than Stabil, but it's about 5 times as now it says this here, 512 gallons of gasoline you can do with this size here. This is about $30, I think, at Walmart, 27, something like that.
And how long does that keep your gas good for if you put that stuff in there?
I've got gas that I've stored for my generator that's probably 2 years old, and it's still just perfectly good. Now I rotate it with my truck every year. I have a label on each one of my cans, so I know how old it is, and every year I just dump it into my truck and refill it.
Bill, where did you say you can get non-ethanol gas?
I didn't, but I'll tell you. There's this little Chevron up here on State Street. It used to be called Chuck's or Carl's, or there's a huge tank there. He sells propane. Also, it's a internet connection unstable.
I think it's the only gas station that's between 8th and 12th on
On
the east side or west side.
west
state.
side, yeah. And if I remember right, it's in a green pump, but I'm not positive of that. I tried to buy about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and they were out, and they said May 1st. There's the Maverick station at the mouth of the canyon. They have it as well. It's in a separate pump north of the other pumps, and they were out as well. And so then I phoned the other Maverick, new one down there in Provo, and the guy said, "Oh yeah," or no, the lady said, "Oh yeah, we got it." So I drove all the way down there, and I went in, and there was a man there. And I said, "Where's your non-ethanol gas?" "Oh, we don't have any." And I said, "Well, what do you have? What do you have?" And he said, "Well, we have a I don't know, there's a clear gas or something that was more pure than the unleaded, but it was not non-ethanol gas. So I turned around and came home. So I'm still looking for it.
I know that in American Fork, kind of between Pleasant Grove and American Fork, there's like a Walmart grocery store there, like a neighborhood store, Walmart neighborhood store, and there's a gas station near there that sells it.
Oh,
Or I've seen it there a couple times.
yeah. Well, it was odd because everybody was out of it at the same time. I don't know whether they just weren't making it or maybe
Everyone was filling up their gas tanks or generators during quarantine.
maybe the virus got them. I don't know. You have any other questions? Oh, for your snow blowers, essentially it's the opposite. When you're going to store them for the summer, run them dry. Run all the gas out. If you have a fuel shutoff valve and you've used something like this in your gas, you can leave fuel in the tank of anything. If this or stay-bil is in it, it'll stay through the winter or the summer. And but shut it off somehow and run the carburetor dry so the varnishes and all the little garbage that's in there don't plug up those little holes inside the carburetor. And then the snow blowers, you can change the oil on them a lot easier if you add a 1/4 inch quarter turn valve. I'd show you mine, but it's way over there on the snowblower. But on mine, the oil drain plug is right on the very back of the engine. And so I just screwed in about a 3-inch pipe and stuck one of these little valves on there, just a little handle. And now I don't have to crawl around or mess around. I just open the valve and the oil runs out. And they're about $4 at Harbor Freight. They're about $8 or $9 at Home Depot. So, but that makes it really slick. You just warm it up good and it just runs out of there like water. So
Great. Well, Brother Mickelson, we really appreciate the time here. This is helpful. I feel like I've learned a lot. Realized that I need to sharpen my blade. I really haven't done that a whole lot, and that could be causing some problems with my grass. So personally learned a lot, and I think everybody here is appreciative. So thank you so much for your time. Everybody as well, we recorded this, and so if you would like access to it, you can let me know. But we will also distribute it in some form, whether it's an email or on the Word Facebook page or somewhere. So if you would like access to it, let me know, but we'll figure out a way to distribute it as well.
what's that? I'm sorry.
I was just mentioning that we have it recorded, so we will, anybody on the phone call, if they would like access to the recording, can let us know and we can get them the recording of it. So thank you very much. Any Brother Smith, President Smith, anything else you wanted to add, or are we good?
How about we just have a quick closing prayer?
Sounds great to me.
Brother Dunaway, would you be willing to offer that?
Happy to. Thank you.
Thanks.
Our Heavenly Father, we're thankful that we've had this time to be together as an elders quorum. We're grateful for Brother Mickelson and his skill and knowledge and willing to share these things with us. We're thankful, Father, for our blessings. We pray that thy Spirit will be with us this evening. We pray that this pandemic will ease, and we pray for blessings upon those who are caring for those who may be suffering, and we also pray for those who are affected by it in any way. And we pray for these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Great. Thank you.
mention the propane.
Okay.
There's a similar presentation on propane.
Oh, about doing one?
I'll be happy to do that.
Go ahead.
Is everybody still there? More or less.
Few of us.
More or less, kind of, sort of. I would be happy to do a similar thing on propane. Now that it's barbecue season and whatever, there's so much with propane that I don't think many people understand. So if there's some interest, well, let President Smith know, and we'll see if we can set it up sometime.
Great.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, we'll see you. Bye.